So, Shannon, how will you remember his career?
I remember him as an all-time great, Skip, that no one saw this type of career happening. I'm old enough to remember I was in the league when he got drafted. I started in Baltimore in 2001, and then I came back in the Broncos and then San Diego Chargers, Skip. We were in the same division.
Yep.
And I got an opportunity to see him up close and personal. Skip, no one saw this coming. If Drew Brees even told you he saw this coming, I don't believe he would be telling you the truth. Because remember, they got an opportunity to draft Eli Manning, #1 overall, with that guy on his. Now, he's a franchise quarterback. Name the other franchise quarterback that was so bad one year, they got the #1 overall pick the following season.
Yep.
That does not happen. But you know what? A fateful injury happened, and he probably thought, man, they gave him, what, a 10, 20% chance of ever playing again.
Yep.
The Dolphins failed him on a physical.
They did.
Lo and behold, he falls in the laps of Sean Payton and the New Orleans Saints, who need a quarterback, Hurricane Katrina,
Yeah.
and voila, magic
Rest is
happens.
history.
The
Yep.
rest is, as they say,
Yep.
Skip, history. And it just goes to show you, young people, it's not where you start, it's where you end up and what you do while you're there. Skip, Drew Brees made it fashionable. He's the reason why you see a Russell Wilson. You see a Kyler Murray, a Baker Mayfield, a 6 foot, slightly below quarterback. Man, you need to be 6'3", 6'4". You need to have a cannon of an arm.
Mm-hmm.
Drew Brees said, no, you don't. He found a way to make it work. Of the 12 5,000-yard passing season, that guy, 6 foot tall, Drew Brees, has 5 of them. And of all the guys, Skip, he probably has the weakest of the arms, which just goes to show you that arm strength is greatly overrated. But, Skip, I'm going to remember him as a historically great player to get what he was able to get out of his career.
Yep.
Especially after that injury.
Yep.
It speaks volumes to how hard he worked, and the perseverance that he stuck to it. But it was the right time. Skip, if you look at him in his last playoff games, look at him against Tampa. Look at him the year before against Minnesota. If you go back and, Skip, look at him against the Rams. Look at him the first half against the Vikings before they got the Minnesota Miracle. Skip, he hadn't played well in his last 4 playoff games.
True.
But I'm going to remember him. I'm like, dude, how this little dude, and he's a small man, how did this little dude put up these kind of numbers? And I know, Skip, I get it, they protect the quarterback. But still, he still got to throw the ball down the field, and he made it work.
He did.
So I'm going to remember Drew as a great, great player. He won a Super Bowl, and he beat Peyton Manning in the game in that Super Bowl, Skip. But he also beat a 3-time MVP in Brett Favre to get there, and a 2-time MVP in Kurt Warner.
He did.
So he had a great run. Now, you could make a case that Brady had a greater run, but you can put that run that he got with the New Orleans Saints up there with any run in playoff that end up culminated in a Super Bowl. So That's how I'm going to remember him, as a great player, maximized his ability, got everything he could out of his ability. And I don't know, it's hard-pressed to see a city embrace a quarterback any more than what New Orleans embraced Drew Brees.
And he will remain with his family in New Orleans, and I'm sure he will be like a father figure to the city from here on.
Yes.
And he has a great gig lined up, I believe, doing Sunday Night Football on NBC. Congratulations, Drew Brees, on one of the all-time greatest careers ever. So I kept looking at these numbers last night, and I kept trying to put it in perspective. And there was one name I just couldn't escape, and it was a name you just brought up, and that's Tom Brady. Drew Brees' career was so great that it could have been the all-time greatest just on sheer statistics.
Right, yes.
Except he was born at the wrong time.
Yes.
He spent his whole career having to try to play up to Tom Brady, and you just can't. It's impossible. It's the bar is set absurdly high, unrealistically high, and it kept putting him in the shadows of Tom Brady.
And Skip, and smack dab in Peyton. Peyton's only a couple of
Right
years
in the middle
older.
of Peyton. But if I just had to gauge or rate or rank Brees versus Peyton, I could at least put him in the ballpark. I could do it more LeBron-esque where you have great longevity stats. And I could go, well, he did beat Peyton head-to-head in a Super Bowl. That was great, man.
Yes.
And you just said that run.
Yeah.
That was up there.
Yes.
And yet if we look at Peyton's postseason, it was 14-13, but it helped in Denver that he got to the two Super Bowls, and then he won one, and he kind of went along for a ride on that one. Thanks, he sort of rode Von Miller's coattails to that Super Bowl. So Peyton finished 2-2 in Super Bowls,
right?
But he was only 9-10 in the playoffs while with the Colts,
right?
14-13 overall. So if you just looked at the all-time numbers, you could start making that LeBron-esque sort of LeBron versus Jordan case that on just sheer longevity numbers, that Brees had a slightly better career than Peyton did. I wouldn't go there, but you could at least...
Yeah, you could make it, you could debate it.
You could at least debate it. But you can't debate Brady because Drew Brees has ended up in the postseason 9-9, and that counts that one run of 3-0 to the Super Bowl. So if you take that away, he's 6-9 in the postseason. Brady is 34-11 with 7 Super Bowls.
Right.
Well, it's like game over. You can't even start the conversation there. So he was just born at the wrong time. He was born a year and almost a half after Brady was. And yet it's got to crush Drew Brees that the man that he's fought against since he was in college in the Big Ten is still going strong. So right now, as we speak, Drew Brees holds the all-time record for most completions, 7,142. He holds the all-time yardage record of 80,358 yards. It's a ridiculous number of yards. But those are not going to stand because Brady will catch and pass both of them, because I'm pretty sure Brady's going to play 2 more seasons.
Right, this year
I know he's going to play 1, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be 2. And then after that, all bets are off. We'll see what happens.
Right.
But it's 2 more years, and I kept telling you, I wonder if if Drew Brees will go Brady-esque and say, well, okay, he posted that video a week or so ago. I thought, well, is he going to try to go Brady and go somewhere else just to compete for numbers?
No.
Nope. You know why? Because he's had enough. His body has had enough. It's like you hit the wall at 35. It was both body and mind. You're just beaten from it, where you just say, okay, I've done all I can do, and I'm satisfied with what I did. And he's got to be more than satisfied.
Oh, yeah.
Except for the Brady factor. And remember, it started back in college when, in 1999, Drew Brees at Purdue started off 4-0. And they got all the way up to number 11, and they went and visited number 4 Michigan in the Big House. And it was Tom Brady at quarterback that day. And Brady threw 2 first-quarter touchdowns, and they were off to the races and won 38-12. So that sort of crushed Purdue, and they ended up going 7-5 that year. So they plummeted out of the top 20, obviously. So it started there, and then it also had to crush Brees' soul. It's like all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 1 year ago about today, what did we hear? Nobody saw that coming. Wait, Tom Brady is going to Drew Brees' division? Huh? He is? Well, Brees continued to thump him and thumped him twice. And that second thumping on Sunday Night Football at Tampa was just all-time career. I thought it was the worst game Brady's ever played on that Sunday night at Tampa Bay. And yet, what happened in the playoffs? Who ended Drew Brees' career? It was Tom Brady. He did it again. And I'm not saying he completely outplayed him. It was, as you pointed out, it was more of a defensive game in that the defense took the game over against Drew Brees.
Yeah, I think Brees was like 30 or 38 for 288, and I think he had a touchdown or 2. But Tracy Porter made the play of the game, the pick 6 that really sealed it.
Okay,
like
but that's the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
but
Drew,
in the playoff game,
now, you talking about against Tampa?
Yes.
Yeah, no, he played bad, Skip. He played bad.
Who played bad?
Drew.
Well, I mean, he came apart thanks to, but I'm saying it was almost more of a defensive game for Tampa.
You talk about Tom Brady didn't put up huge numbers.
Tom played pretty well, but his defense played
outstanding.
The best game of the year. And Antoine Winfield Jr., a rookie out of Minnesota, made the play of the year, maybe.
Yes.
Because Jared Cook's got it in his hands, and he's going for a big first down and big yardage into Tampa Bay territory.
Because they're up 7 at that point, Skip. So it looks like a worst-case scenario, they're about to get a field goal.
Right, and he was crossing the 50.
Yeah.
From behind. Guess what? Ball's on the ground and game's on the ground, and here they go.
They head back the other way, get a touchdown, and they don't look back.
That is correct. Okay, so in the end, you look at what he did as I would like to say he's the greatest overachiever ever at the position. But the truth is, I've told you, I think Brady's a little greater overachiever at the position than even Drew Brees. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Look at Drew's lineage, his family lineage. His father played basketball at Texas A&M. His mother, who became a prominent attorney, was all-state in 3 sports in high school in Texas. Pretty good. And I don't know if you remember his uncle, Marty Akins, but he was the starting quarterback for Darrell Royal at Texas for 3 years. I just know him from the big Oklahoma-Texas battles, and he was the Southwest Conference Player of the Year in 1975. Marty Akins, the Texas fans will definitely know. He's pretty legendary. Well, he was Drew's uncle.
Right.
So Drew grows up in Austin, Texas. Austin Westlake, they just dominate high school football, and nobody wants him. He couldn't get a sniff from either Texas A&M, where his father went, or from the University of Texas, where his uncle went. And he winds up, it's either Kentucky or Purdue, and he goes to Purdue.
Yeah, okay. normally Texas kids don't go to Purdue.
Okay, but I always thought Drew Brees was an underrated athlete, and I never thought Tom Brady was an underrated athlete, because I can't get that horror movie out of my mind of the 40-yard dash that he ran.
Well, Skip, the reason why I believe Drew is a greater overachiever, Skip, because of the size.
Yep. No,
if he was 6'5", Skip, okay, you get Tom. But Skip, we hadn't seen anything like this. 6 foot tall quarterback, maybe 6 foot. If he
I think he's definitely 6 feet tall. Yeah.
If he had an arm like Mike Vick, I said, okay, well, Skip, look how he throw the ball. He can launch at 80 yards. He had none of that. He didn't have Michael Vick or Kyler Murray speed, Lamar Jackson elusiveness. He didn't have Mike Vick's arm. He average height, average arm, average athleticism. And look what he got, 80,000 yards? You're right, Brady's going to pass it. He had the touchdown record. Brady's going to end up with that.
He's just going to pass him in everything.
Yeah, but when I look at him, I'm like, that does not look like the guy that was going to play 20 years and at one point in time had every statistical meaningful category at the quarterback position.
He did.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.